Preston. And we're live.
Hello, we're live. Welcome to We Keep It Rolling. I'm Megan. I'm here with Ryan and Justin, and we're a group of podcasters and friends. We're coming together to talk Phish. Today, we're here to recap the Mexico 2026 run. And we also recorded some episodes a few weeks ago about the 2025 Jam of the Year bracket. And if you haven't listened to those episodes, you should check them out. We go through the Phish.net Jam of the Year bracket. We discuss the matchups, the slights, and which jams we think are the big contenders to win it all. So if you haven't listened, you can find those under Ryan's podcast feed. We move through stormy weather. But we are not talking about stormy weather today. We're talking about Phish Mexico, where the weather is always nice and the vibes are always high. And I'm here recording from New York City, where sub-zero temps, endless mounds of snow that seem to get dirtier.
Don't talk to me about your winter weather.
Every day, there's civil unrest. There's this litany of bad things happening in the country. I'm not feeling very vibey, but I want to hear from you both. You're both recording different parts of what we know from Bad Bunny is all one America. So, Justin, how are you and how are the vibes in Las Vegas?
It was cloudy and in the mid 60s at the playground after school yesterday, and I thought I was gonna freeze to death, to be honest. So we're getting through our own version of winter here, but yeah, we're surviving. You know, the vibes.
We don't have sympathy.
No, I understand. But yeah, vibes out here as we wait for Phish at the Sphere. Again, just if anyone wants to throw tickets my way at Face, I'm all ears. But yeah, we're good. We're good out here in Vegas.
Nice. How about you, Ryan? How are things in the real true north?
Yeah, well, so yesterday it was around 30 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like the warmest it's been in weeks. It's been negative 30 for a while. But yesterday at 30 degrees ish Fahrenheit, around -2 Celsius, I went outside and I was like, wow, this feels like spring. And I took off my hat and unzipped my jacket. So that's how winter's going in Canada right now.
Well, it's not that much different in New York. My daughter was upstairs. She just got home from school and she said, Mom, it's warm outside. It's like spring. It's 40 degrees here. So I feel
it's snowing again today.
Okay. It's back. Okay. Well, I am, as you might have guessed, a very social person. And I've spent the last 3 or 4 weeks basically in my house watching insane amounts of movies because it has been so cold here. I didn't leave my house for 48 hours last weekend. So I am really feeling the winter, but it's going to end at one point. And I realized that the three of us never really talked about Mexico. And so I'd love to know kind of what this run means to you guys. Ryan, what does Phish Mexico mean to you?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. It's kind of, to me, Mexico is really, closing the book on the previous year of Phish and kind of looking ahead to the new year of Phish. Every year I feel like the Mexico run kind of is the last of whatever kind of jamming and style that they've been playing with at the end of the previous year. And we start to see, basically saying the same thing again. But we start to see where they're going to head this year. And I think also a trend in the last few years, at least the last 3 years, Phish Mexico has been at least a sizable step above the MSG run. And as somebody who is at every MSG run and has never been to Phish Mexico, come on, and this one, I mean, this Mexico run that we just had is like leaps and bounds better than the MSG run musically. And like 7 20-minute jams in 4 shows. Like,
I know
we had.
I don't know why. I know. I don't know why Trey soft served us at MSG. It's a little sad, but he did. He did. See that? You like that? You like that joke? Justin, how about you? What does Mexico mean to you? Phish Mexico.
I like the idea of Phish Mexico as someone married to like a non-Phish enthusiast. I don't think that I'll ever go to Mexico. I don't have aspirations of going to Phish Mexico, but I just like that after the holidays, as we kind of like hit the grind of like, okay, back to real life. Phish Mexico is just like a little carrot to dangle. It's kind of fun. We know we're not going to have much more Phish in the months ahead. So it is, I agree with Ryan, kind of an exclamation point on the year prior, but also just because it's in the new calendar year feels like a statement for maybe where we're going to go in the year ahead. So, and with only 4 shows and then like months to analyze them after the fact, I always feel very comfortable with the Phish Mexico jams and shows. Like I've really got my hands on them by the time they, in June or July or whenever, play more shows, or in April in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very palatable amount of shows to kind of like
Yeah.
take in and digest. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do also like that the last couple of years, they moved it up a few weeks. Like it's now the end of January instead of late February. I feel like we all by the 4th week of January, I feel like we all really need something good to happen every year because January is like 6 months long, and I feel like by the end of February, the weather's maybe warmed up slightly, or like things are starting to happen again in some places. And so it's not as depressing. And by things are starting to happen, I mean shows. But end of January, it's a nice thing to have 4 Phish shows happen.
I also think that's why they've maybe increased in quality, because they are so much closer to MSG. That would be my guess. I feel like the last few years have been better. I mean, we've had some Mexicos that were good before, but I think the last few years have been better, and those have been closer to MSG. So I wonder if that plays into it a little bit. I've only been once. It was completely magical. And even though I'm, a huge HF pod nerd, I love deep analysis and stats. I think in my heart of heart, I'm still a vibes girl, and Mexico is kind of that perfect place to let go and just soak in the vibes and let go of all those expectations and just enjoy it all. But when I'm watching and listening from home, I feel like I'm a much different person about Mexico. Sure. I really agree. I'm really like analyzing it. I'm really thinking about like what it means for 2025 and what it means for 2026 and this year forward. So I'm definitely looking at it to see what the band is thinking about and where they're going and how it kind of stacks up. And this year getting pretty salty about the amount of big jams. But I have a lot of thoughts about those and thoughts about themes too. So we could talk about that. But before we get into that, can I share some stats?
Love stats.
Okay, good. There's not that many. Don't worry. Ryan, you already mentioned one of them. There were 7 jams over 20 minutes in 4 shows. It's pretty epic. Also, in the 13 to 19 minute range, 12 songs. So that's not counting those 7. So we're talking about almost 20 songs that were over 13 minutes played. It's a lot. There were also 3 debuts. We've got a Mike song, a Trey and Paige song, and a Trey and Tom song. And that's interesting, I think. For me, and we're going to talk about this later, I really want, I was thinking about this and I was like, this sounds crazy, because I think most people that have listened to me podcasts about Phish know that I don't love Sci-Fi Soldier, but I think the exercise that Sci-Fi Soldier led to and what kind of jams came out of that is kind of what we need. I kind of want the band to make some music together, because I think that they need that to kind of propel their creativity moving forward. So that's what I'm asking for, is some new collective Phish songs. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think that while we did get 3 song debuts, I don't think that any of the 3 of them are particularly memorable.
No.
And like if they never played any of the 3 of them again, I wouldn't have any feeling about it.
Yeah.
If just being perfectly honest about this, the double ballad encore on night 3, was really, really something. It's just, I agree with you though. I think if you look at modern era Phish, this is the longest they've gone without getting together and writing a whole batch of new songs together. They had the Fuego, and then Chilling Thrilling a year later, and then Casvat in 2018, and then Sci-Fi Soldier in 2021. And now it's been since then, and we haven't had, a quote unquote Phish album that is, all of them getting together and collaborating on a whole group of songs. So, maybe these Halloween rumors for this year will be what we need.
Yeah,
maybe.
I hope so.
It is interesting when you think about like those groups of new songs with Fuego and Casvat Fox and Sci-Fi Soldiers. Like it leads to some jam vehicles, but it also leads to like a lot of like, is okay, I guess.
Right.
Whereas this current crop of like newish songs, like What's Going Through Your Mind, and I don't even know what else we would lump in there. It still feels kind of fresh, but yeah, it would be nice to know that Trey has some new tunes in the hopper that are gonna jam. I don't know, like Life Saving Gun, which we're gonna talk about. That still feels like a pretty new Fish song
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me. So there's fresh material. It's not like we're just jamming off of the classics, but yeah, it is interesting
And
how
everybody
much.
would be so upset about that, if they were
Well,
only jamming the
listen,
classics.
well, I mean,
Eh,
I don't even care what they're jamming. I think the
Oh, me
quality of
neither.
jams improves dramatically when they're writing stuff together and playing. I think about the creativity that came out of Casbah Vox, or especially Sci-Fi Soldier. Think about that Fall 21 tour, right? Like they're finding new sounds because they're working together creatively in a loose structure. And I think that's maybe what we need right now.
Right. And I agree. And Justin, to your point, I think that the sentiment behind that, like wanting them to write songs together isn't because the songs that we're going to put out with are going to, change the landscape of Phish set lists and beat, which it would be nice. And I mean, there are so many of these songs that have come out of these that have jam potential that they just have ignored for, years. But it's that, yeah, that it, kind of gives them a shot in the arm creatively in jams and other songs and just playing in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
The last
jam
stat.
fling your heads, cowards. Jam fling your head.
Well, that's not
Whatever
what I
that
meant.
was called.
I'll take it.
Exactly. The last little bit of stats that I want to bring up are just about this average show gap thing that I've been really on for a while now. I just find it really interesting. I think that when I looked at the average show gap for these 4 shows, there's usually one song per set that kind of throws it off. And if you took out that song, either a bust out or a debut, the average show gap was really low. So that to me shows like really low, like 5 or 6. And so we are looking at really, really reduced number of songs that they're playing over and over again, which to me is fine. I think that
Yeah.
that works because to me, we'll talk about this in themes, but I really think they're interested in playing much longer jams. And that tends to happen when they're playing similar songs, right? When they're not trying to learn songs in the rehearsal room before, like remember stuff. So I do think it's fine, but I just think it's interesting because even with some of the songs that they don't play as often, songs like Mull and Vultures and Frankie Says, Water in the Sky, you're still getting like a 6 or 7 show gap, which is really, really low. So it shows you that most of the other songs are like 3 or 4. They're playing them every 3 or 4 shows. So just something interesting to think about and see how Trey is calling a lot of the same songs. And that's a trend that's been happening for a long time.
I will say, and we're gonna talk about favorite shows and sets and favorite jams, but like for me, it's jams all the way, and it really is like whatever. To your point, Megan, whatever they play, if they're jamming it, that's what's gonna grab my attention. That's like the framework about how I think about Phish shows, just like all about the jams. So I don't know. I think sometimes the average show gap, like if you get a set or a show where we're doing a lot of bust outs, like maybe we're doing that because we're not feeling the jams. So it's like,
Totally.
oh yeah, cool. We caught a show where they had a lot of bust outs, but it's like, did they
Not
jam
my thing.
is always for me the be all and end all question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will say, with the songs, we saw a few, I feel like stuff that's not out of the rotation, but stuff that's, in a little bit less frequent
Yeah.
compared to others, stuff like, I mean, you mentioned Water in the Sky, but also like Brian and Robert, McGrupp making an appearance, again, that pops up semi-frequently, but I will say I did like Trey playing acoustic on stage. That
Yes,
I
me
think
too.
inspired by the November Tab tour, I assume, and he brought it out at MSG. But like I think it lends itself really well to songs like Brian and Robert, and when they did the Slow Water in the Sky, what have you. Um, and I think that those ballads, when the acoustic guitar isn't preventing them from jamming the song really, and it's just like a nice addition to do. Like I would love to see, if they want to bring out something like, an acoustic Life Boy or something like that would be
Yeah,
really
that'd
cool,
be great. Or do the intro to my friend acoustic again.
That
I'm
was gonna
like
be the next
begging
thing. Yeah.
for this, begging
Yeah.
for this.
Bring that
Yeah,
back.
I agree. I think Trey is one of the most beautiful acoustic guitar players out there. I love listening to him play acoustic. And so anytime he wants to bring that out, and especially first set jam or first set ballad, excuse me, perfect. So
Ooh, we could dust off the In-Law Josie Wales. It's been a minute since we've played that.
There we
That
go.
would be nice.
I
Just
love that
incur
song.
some. Oh, it's so beautiful. Incur some
I
epic
know.
shushing. That would be
Exactly.
And you know, if him switching to an acoustic guitar is gonna produce banter like the prison joke banter. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I hadn't heard the prison joke before, and obviously after they talked about it during this Mexico run, I went and listened to it, and I very much understand why Fishman was reluctant to tell it again.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
not
very
the 90s
nice
anymore. It's
there
not
is
the
a
90s
crisp
anymore.
a crisp soundboard recording of 41191 where he tells the prison joke. You can
Yeah.
go check that out. He sounded a little bit reluctant in 1991 too, but Trey was pretty adamant that he was going to tell the prison joke. Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, it's definitely 30 years later and a different era.
Mhm.
So I think it's probably wise to not tell the prison joke. But I did like knowing that they have a joke button up there, and I love imagining what goes on between them. It cracks me up, and anytime Trey talks to the audience, it's always like a win for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I was
the
thinking about
way,
that lately.
go ahead, Ryan.
But no, I was just gonna I think about that lately, how like I feel like banter is a little more few and far between these days. And so it's nice
yeah.
to like, I mean, they're obviously constantly joking around up there to each other, but I think now that they're on in-ears, you know, it's not like they're not like actually like having a conversation that can be picked up by the mics necessarily. It's like, you know, they're only talking to themselves. So it's nice when they do include us in it a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. I always want to know what they're thinking and doing up there. So it's fun. It also just adds that feeling of intimacy that you're all kind of like sharing this one experience together. And I always love that. Speaking of sharing experience together, we are going to go through today. We're going to go through some themes / takeaways, and then we're going to talk about our favorite jams, our favorite sets, and our favorite shows from the run. So I want to start out with themes. Justin, do you have a theme you want to share or a takeaway?
Couple thoughts popped
Yeah.
into my head, and the first one was just how prevalent teamwork was in the improvisational moments that kind of caught my ear the most and that I was most eager to return to. It was definitely not Trey out front or Paige leading the way or even Mike doing this weird thing and folks are following. It was very democratic and like very collaborative, and they hit these grooves like at the end of Carini and in the like middle to last 3/4 of a song I heard the ocean sing, where it was 100% just like the team output was greater than the sum of the parts. So I think just that patience and that listening that's implied when you've got team jamming like that, that was like oh good, I love it when they do this, and this is like a sign of vitality and health and listening. So that was encouraging. And then the one other thing was I feel like we get effects jams all the time, and sometimes they like go off the rails and it's fun and it's noisy and cacophonous, like the end of any Split Open and Melt since 2019 or whenever. But I felt that the effects were like pretty tasteful. Like it wasn't like Mike and Paige and Trey were all digging in on heavy effects at the same time. Like if Paige was doing something pretty crazy, Trey might dial it back a little bit. Or like it wasn't like being hit over the head with just noise. And I think as a result, the jams where effects were like featured didn't just become like mishmashes of effects and noise and stuff. And I thought that was a kind of a good sign, and that lets the jam kind of go somewhere instead of just like devolving and like swirling down the drain, which can be fun and
Which is
crazy,
fun.
but like
Yeah.
hey, which is cool, but like it when it's happening, and like it always kind of ends up in the same place. So those, the team jamming and like the tasteful employment of effects, I think was a good sign.
Yeah, I agree about the effects, especially. I think they've really they went so heavy in it when they first started to play really strongly with it in 4.0. And I think they've really learned how to balance that with more melodic jamming, which is really nice. Ryan, how about you?
My big takeaway is, I think they're moving in an interesting direction in terms of the jamming. There's this kind of more modern groove-based style that was kind of introduced towards the end of 2024. I think of the 12/31/24, my friend, as like the first realized example of this style. And we saw it a little bit during last year's Mexico run, and then it kind of disappeared for most of 2025. And it came back in a big way in this run. And to me, it feels like that's maybe the new direction for their jamming. And I'm curious to see Sphere and Beyond if they continue in that vein, or that's just kind of like a Mexico thing now. But it's that, and this run reminds me a little bit of some 2.0 jams in a way, in that the stuff they're hitting after minute 20 is like there's some crazy stuff that happens. And I think of like the Carini as a perfect example, where it's like average great Phish jamming, and then at the 21-minute mark it shifts and it's like, whoa, my God. And so I think that's interesting because, this band has been delivering so much like the improv. Every jam that's 30-40 minutes long is so interesting throughout for the most part. And so it's interesting to kind of see them go back to more of where they were for a lot of their career, where like maybe they don't hit that next level until a little while in. And not to say that the shorter jams aren't also doing that, because the light that comes right after that Carini does a really incredible amount of stuff in 13 minutes. But I think some of the bigger stuff, they're kind of searching a little bit more, which I found interesting.
Yeah, I 100% agree with the searching. I don't know, I'm a little nervous to say this, but I'll tell you what I thought my takeaway was, is that I love the commitment to big jams. These are longer sets, longer jams. To me, it seems like maybe they're really thinking about how they're going to play the Sphere, and they're going to hopefully be doing some really deep jamming. But I did feel like a lot of these jams were really characterized by similar themes. I think they all felt pretty dark, and I'm not against that, but I'm just saying in general, like thematically, they were pretty dark jams, and they were really characterized by a lot of repetitive looping. So, like you were saying, Ryan, a lot of kind of searching and a lot of melodies repeating over and over again, with a lot of textures and layers kind of like underneath. I saw like Paige, just doing so much kind of like soundscape work beneath jams. But in a way, sometimes I was losing some of the real risk. Like my favorite parts of these jams and my favorite jams from this run are when it feels risky, because that's kind of where I want to hear Phish right now. They're so good at getting into a sophisticated jam space super fast. They can find a really sophisticated, textured, layered, really cool jam in like 7-8 minutes. And so for them, what I want to know is like, where are you taking that? Like, take me on a journey, right? Take me on a narrative story. I think that's one reason why I think we'll talk about the Ruby Waves a lot, but that jam, it goes somewhere. And I kind of feel like Phish needs to be jamming in a way that takes me somewhere now, because I know they can find interesting places in their sleep now. So I think I am kind of expecting that next level where I really want to see them like swinging big and jumping off the deep end. And I did hear that in moments. I wanted a little bit more. And I also feel like we need to hear something new from these jams in a way, because they are so good at what they're doing now. And I think the level of jamming has been really high. And so I kind of want to know what's next. And that's greedy. I'm not going to say that that's not, because Phish is an unbelievable band, and seeing them, is obviously like unlike seeing any other band. But my expectations for this band are tremendous, because they constantly, exceed those expectations for me. So I am really hoping that as they go towards Sphere, they play super risky and do something that pushes them creatively with that space. And that's just what I'm kind of hoping for and thinking of. And I think when you think about these shows, I think one theme that I really had too was how strong the set lists were. These were incredibly crafted shows. I think some of the best set lists Dre's put together in a while. I also think he was playing longer sets. You've got like 90-minute sets, but sometimes only 4 or 5 songs, 6 songs. Like, that's great. Keep doing that. But when you have a really strong set list and you have a lot of big jams, I'm hoping to get completely blown away. And I feel like I had some moments of real intrigue, but I was missing a little bit of the wild riskiness that I want sometimes from Phish. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I do think that with some of the groove-based jamming that Ryan mentioned, that it reveals itself kind of upon repeated listenings, because like during the stream or initial listens, you're like, okay, cool, I like what they're doing. Oh, okay, nice. And I wasn't necessarily hearing anything obvious and rote, which is a big plus for me. Like, it kind of bugs me if we're in a jam space and it brightens and then you hear Trey playing some fluid, serene lines and Paige is like, I got you, bro, on the piano. It's like, all right, I know.
Yeah, we know where this is going.
Totally
is going to head. And we didn't, at least the jams that I kept gravitating back towards, we didn't really get a lot of that. I think I hear what you're saying, Megan, and that like maybe if we can evolve beyond that like collaborative groove where we are kind of like in that layered situation to the maybe is there a next step? And I don't know, and we'll talk about it. I think in the Ruby Waves, I like how they did collaboratively get to uncharted territory, like as a team. But I was very satisfied with like the quality and the style of jamming, but that was also something where like on my first re-listen is like, gosh, there's like 6 jams, 7 jams, they're all kind of in the same cluster, and it took a few more listens for things to kind of like start to peel or pull away from each other quality wise.
Yeah, I mean my list of ranked jams has changed a lot and several times over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I keep moving things around, and I listen to it again, and there's like another thing I missed, or I listen to it again, and it's like, oh, that didn't hit the same. I will say on the set list front, I think a lot of the second sets were really strong.
Yeah.
And the first sets too, but I feel like there are certain aspects of these shows that's kind of like that, there are parts that can be kind of a drag. I mean, the Friday encore that I already mentioned.
You're so mad about that. I love it.
I mean, I'm not particularly mad about it. But I also think that the first sets are really solid. And I think that within those very solid first sets on paper, I think, looking for a couple more jams in the first set. And I know that they've kind of, over the last year or two, there are still jams in the first set that happen. We have a giant My Friend that happens in Saturday's first set. But I feel like, especially the way that 4.0 started with like, you can get a 25-minute jam literally anywhere in the show. I feel like they've kind of stepped away from that a little bit. And I'm curious why, but I would like to see, as this year goes on, I would love to see more big jams in the first set again, because I feel like, again, every once in a while you're getting a big one, but for the most part, the first set is like, we're going to play these songs. We're going to play them pretty well. You might get a 12, 13 minute, something here, but nothing crazy is happening.
Yeah. And that's also part of the risk. I feel like
absolutely.
Some of the shows are starting to feel very much like you kind of know what you're going to get, and that you're going to get like a big 1-2 punch jam in the second set, and then you're going to kind of like either struggle in the fourth quarter or like it's going to be amazing, TBD. But the first sets have been sort of, standard. But yeah, I mean, I think I thought some of the first sets, and we'll talk about it, but I thought one in particular had like a really nice narrative arc and it felt like a show in itself. But I do think that, there's not been a ton of change to the set list structure, or more of like a settling into it, which I do think does tend to take away from having that big jam opportunity in the first set. Although, My Friend is one of my favorite jams of the whole run. So, and here it is in the first set. So I guess they prove us wrong at every turn. But let's get into it. Let's start talking about some jams. Yeah, yes. Exactly. Ryan, give us a favorite jam or two.
Well, I think we're all going to be aligned on the number one. I'm pretty sure that's the Ruby Waves is my favorite jam of this run.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
You know, what
Yeah.
happens at the 19 or 20-minute mark, wherever, where they just go hyper speed and then collapse in on
Yeah.
themselves, and it's like 6 or 7 more minutes of just straight dissonant craziness. Like, yeah, like
Yep.
that's the shit right there.
Yeah.
And I will say that my friend, I think is my favorite jam of the run in terms of just re-listenability and engagement all the way through. You know, the Ruby Waves is at the top of my list ultimately because what it does in that second half is far beyond what happens in the other jams of this run, in my opinion. But the My Friend has so much going on throughout. And, you know, there's this one moment, and I said this to you guys this morning, but there's this progression that they hit just before the 18-minute mark. You know, they're kind of flirting with, not quite. It's like, you know, this very emotional bliss progression. And it hit me this morning that it's like, oh, it's the Amsterdam Stash. It reminds me a lot of that Bliss jam, obviously.
Wow. I hadn't thought about that. I'm going to play that.
Obviously, nobody get upset with me. I'm not comparing this jam to the Amsterdam Stash. This is not the Amsterdam Stash. But the progression reminds me a lot of that vibe. And of course, you know, they played a 40-minute jam. And that's always very exciting. I know it's slightly under 40 minutes, but for a song that had somehow never crossed the 20-minute mark before, getting a 39-minute Song I Heard the Ocean Sing was pretty great. Because, you know, I felt for a very long time that song and My Friend, which, you know, neither of which had crossed the 20-minute mark before this Mexico run. But I felt for a long time that, you know, A Song I Heard the Ocean Sing is something that is so overdue to, you know, be jammed out like that, because I feel like there are so many great 15 to 17-minute versions of this song. You know, the next longest, 12:31:17, really, really great jam. And yeah, this one just, you know, completely blows that out of the water. So maybe in 2026, you know, we'll see this song, you know, anchor some more second sets. But I would like to see that continue.
Justin, what are your thoughts on those two jams? Let's talk about those first.
Definitely the Ruby Waves was it sort of like rose to the top. I just love how it's almost like as Trey starts kind of finding the serene passage early. Fishman never quite like lets up on the intensity, and I have in my notes like he stays ready, and that kind of allows the jam to kind of morph into like this balanced, clean attack, and then they speed up into cacophony. And I'm assuming it's Paige, but when like those cat meow synths start coming at you.
Meow is Mike.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate.
Mike has a cat pedal. Yeah.
Well, it was expertly deployed, and it just that group sort of like push into craziness and speeding up. There's nothing more exciting than when a jam is happening and doing original things, and then you're just like, whoa, okay, we're going someplace, don't know where. But it was great. And then how they morph into the syncopated groove and just kind of like sear and sizzle for the last bit. So that one always held my attention on repeated listenings. Just to follow up, since Ryan mentioned it, on the A Song I Heard the Ocean Sing, loved it. And there is a section from like 23 to 32 minutes where they are doing that rhythmic kind of groove bass jamming and taking turns with tones. And it's just really, really engaging. And that was probably my favorite segment of improvisation from the whole weekend, that 23 to 32 minute point. I do ding the A Song I Heard the Ocean Sing just a little bit. Like it's not up at that Ruby Waves level for me, because like they're pretty much half playing Jaboo for a little while, and then they're working around variations of the final hurrah, and then it kind of falls apart a little bit, and then they're really relying on like a Manteca vibe to kind of like get back into the swing of things. That's not like a non-starter for me. I still have it in my second tier of best jams from the weekend, and I loved it, and I'm talking about it now. But like when I can start to see those obvious little like but that's gonna just bring it down from like the tip top of the mountain. So those two, I already alluded to that rhythmic groove in the end of the Carini, but I think that's worth like celebrating a little bit more. I was very excited that I was getting like the SML, you know, the improvisatory jazz group, like those vibes, and like Phish doing that and not playing anything like that you've heard before. It was just really exciting. So I thought that the Carini was up there. I have a few others that are kind of like in that second tier of excellence, but Megan, I'll toss it to you and see what you have to say, and maybe some of those will be on your short list.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the Ruby Waves to me had the strongest point of view of any jam for the weekend. Such a great narrative arc. It follows like a sort of fairly typical structure, but it still feels really risky and inspired. To me, it just had such a strong muscular playing, but then they're still finding hooks and melodies within really propulsive jamming, just really pushing forward, but also just finding those melodies and those grooves in a way that's interesting. And I love in the middle when it builds to that crescendo around 16 minutes, but it's still not like sunny. It has this edge to it, which I just love. I love like a build that's not like a classic Bliss peak. So yeah, I thought the Ruby Waves fantastic. The song I heard the ocean sing is, to me, thematically characterized by this repetition in melody over a really rich, lush underground of effects. So many amazing textures and layers in this jam. Not surprised that this song really went so far when they are doing so much dark jamming, because this song has such a kind of thematically dark space that it lives in. I love the beginning of the jam, how it has this like repetitive chanting feeling and pages on the organ. It almost sounded spiritual to me. I really love that. And I love that 23-minute mark that you're talking about, Justin. Like, oh yeah. But overall, I felt like the jam felt searching, or just too much of this just like repetitive groove. It's a really long jam, and I think you gotta go some places if you're gonna play 39 minutes, more than that, I think. But fantastic, and I'm here for any jam they want to play that long, even if it's not going to be as narrative as I kind of hope for. Yeah, I agree about the Carini. It wasn't in my top tier, but because I felt like it was a bit searching too. But the last 7 minutes, I love the SML comp. It's so interesting, just really grainy textures. And I love the kind of brooding darkness that Trey's playing with. He's got almost like the effect pedals in the beginning, really kind of like vibey. It's really interesting how dark so many of these jams are. And I've said that a lot,
Yeah.
but I do feel like it's pretty interesting that there was like not really one classic sunny Bliss peak the entire 4 days, which I just think is interesting, and wonder what they're kind of thinking about with that. Did you want to say
Absolutely.
something about that, Ryan?
Yeah, I think it's really great that they're not relying on that anymore.
Yeah.
That I know it's not a criticism I've really had of the band in the modern era, but it's a common criticism that people have had. And I think that, yeah, they're hitting that Sunny Bliss mode at times. Like the first chunk of the Carini kind of is in that area. But instead of just like peaking that and moving on, as you said, like they're going down into deeper exploration. And I feel like the Wave of Hope is a really great example of that, where it's kind of searching through its whole 21 minutes, but there's no point where it feels like they're doing something that's just like major key modulation, Trey's going to solo and peak. It's very like, I love always making these ocean comparisons about Mexico jams, but like it's very like bottom of the ocean floor kind of the whole time.
Yeah.
And so
I love
think
that.
I think it's really cool the way that they're, for all of our criticisms about like the searching and whatever, like I would rather them be searching for something really cool than kind of, do a style of improvisation that doesn't really take a lot of effort from them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them be searching than finding something that they know that they can do really well easily. I totally agree with that. Sorry,
And
my
I
dog
was-
agrees as well. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Justin.
It's
Reba's
okay.
very enthusiastic.
Reba
Oh, God.
can say her piece. I love in the Wave of Hope how they're doing original things, but there aren't really ever any moments where you can tell that they don't necessarily know what's like gonna come next. I felt that there were a couple of moments in the middle of the Carini, and then as I mentioned, like the reliance on a little Jabu and a little Final Hurrah and a little Manteca, and the song I heard the ocean sing to me is like, oh, okay, someone's trying to come up with some idea. But I also wanted to shout out the Life Saving Gun.
Yes.
And
Yep.
and the Beneath a Sea of Stars.
That was
both
my next favorite.
Yeah, both 19 minutes, but like both really get a lot done. those jams were all in like my second tier of excellence. And then just under that, Ryan, you mentioned the my friend, which is great and I really love, but I had the Fuego from night one and the Mercury from night one and then my friend from night four, kind of all in that like third tier where there's lots happening. And a lot of it is very original, but just like for whatever reason was kind of in that next section down for me.
Interesting. My friend does do the big, kind of major key peak thing, but it doesn't feel, to borrow your term, Justin, it doesn't feel like in a rote way. It feels like a really interesting take on that style. And the way that Trey approaches that peak and the way that he plays through that peak, just really like, I think I have that jam ranked as high as I have it, just because it's like, it is kind of a classic motif, but it's not played like we usually hear it.
Yes, and I love that. Like, that's one of my favorite things. Like, I have this jam super high, this my friend, because I agree. It's like, this is something that I think they've been doing really well the last few years, is like taking a really classic jam structure, but playing with it and changing the textures and changing with the mood or some other way to change it. And so it keeps you really engaged and interested. And this just, how it starts off really watery and Paige is playing some like bug sounds on the synths at the beginning of it. And then it gets super driving and rocking. And Trey starts using like the wah pedal in this. It gets like really intense. And the way that it gets to the peak with like texture and looped melodies, I feel like they earn this peak. And that to me is like, okay, you've earned to get to this peak. Like, that's great. I love that. Like, that's what I want. And the Beneath a Sea of Stars is really high up there for me. This is one of my favorite moments of the whole run. I love when you start a jam from a floating place, and this song, it's like their Dark Star. It's so free and risky immediately because it doesn't launch off of a groove. And I just love that. And it has this really kind of dramatic and knowing feeling to it. It's so emotional. There's the piano with Paige, and Trey is playing really emotionally. And it's got that same kind of repetitive looping that A Song I Heard the Ocean Sing had. But to me, it has this feeling of like inevitability. You feel like you're getting dragged down this like maze of repeated dead ends. I love it. And how it kind of lands in Meat Stick, it works. It really works.
It definitely works, and I love the slow build, kind of regal beginning to that Beneath the Sea of Stars, and I think just because of like the instrumentation in the song itself, I always get like spacey 73, 74, Deep Dead jamming kind of vibes because of the piano and just some of those like searing echoing effects. By the way, shout out to my 7 and 10-year-old kiddos. They had their first experience while we were listening to my friend in the car of being like, is that the police behind us? Are those sirens
no
real?
Like, that's awesome.
Yes. You'll never forget your first time where you wondered if you were getting pulled over. Nope, it's just some Trey hijinks with siren effects. But
that reminds me
of a cool part.
That reminds me of listening to the Goosemas 2020 recording when they played on top of the Rockefeller Center, and there are literal police sirens audible on the recording. So it's like, I remember like, years ago when, the show had just happened and everyone's being like, I was listening to that jam and then I thought I was being pulled over because I heard police sirens. It's like, no, it's just the recording.
That's awesome. I love that. I think the Fuego, I think we should talk about the Fuego too. One of my favorite jams, a Fishman MVP in this jam. Oh my God. My God. The way he's moving this jam forward, it's so galloping. It's just absolutely, he's got like the heart and soul of this jam for me. And Paige is playing these lighthearted video game noises on top, but kind of judiciously, not like overwhelming them. But I love how dark and shreddy it gets. And Trey's just plays really beautifully in this jam too. I love it. It's like rolling sheets of sound, and it has kind of a momentum all of its own. And Fuego for me, Fuego jams do it for me these days. And I'll always love that song because they absolutely saved Mondo Green Day 4 from the grave. So I'll always love Fuego.
I mean, like kind of like half emerged from the grave with it.
If they hadn't played that jam and that encore,
it would have been
I don't know what
I mean, listen, I think we talked about this in the the Jam of the Year episodes, but like the
Yeah.
Fuego Renaissance since really the like early 2023 has been amazing, and almost every version of the song that they play is, you know, doing something great. And yeah, and I mean that one gets points for kind of being the turning point for the run, you know, set to first big jam of the run and kind of getting out there, especially after, you know, the waves that opened the set might as well not have happened. You know, they kind of like weren't clicking on it right away, and so it was like
Yeah.
5 minutes. And I want to take a
Bring
second.
back waves. Bring
Yeah.
back waves as a
So
monster
that's another
jam,
song.
please.
That's another song that has
Yes.
never hit the 20-minute mark. And
That which is crazy because that's such a
aside
vibe.
from
So
the Bethel soundcheck one, but they have never played a bracket eligible waves.
Well, we
above
did
20 minutes.
an amazing Waves Mount Rushmore episode, the
Yes.
H pod, and you can check that out because listening to that song, you just realize how much potential that is to be just a monster jam vehicle.
Yeah, I mean Bethel is, you know, the example of that. Like that jam is so good. But yeah, and I think that it's a tragedy that the first time in over 2 years that the song even gets played, it's like 5 minutes long. You know, but I mean,
Weird.
it's okay to ripcord that if you're gonna then, you know, play a 24-minute jam and then, you know, another big jam later on in the set. But yeah, I do like that. I do like that Fuego a lot. And hey, the other jam in that set, the Mercury, while it's a solid jam, doesn't do anything crazy. Mercury is seemingly a jam vehicle again. And I'm
Yeah.
going to knock on wood and not, you know, count on the fact that every version here will jam, but it's been a really long time. And so I think this is the first version of Mercury to hit 20 minutes since 8/30/19. So
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
long time. That's yeah. I feel like for a while the song was kind of dead, so that's exciting, and they played it really well too. Like the actual
That
song part.
bluesy denouement that they tacked on at the end of Mercury, where Trey just bust out some
Yes.
bluesy riffs, was just
Yes.
like, oh, where'd this come from? I
That was
like
cool.
it, but it was like
Yeah.
a randomly awesome minute that I wasn't necessarily anticipating. I will say that often if you know jam for 20 minutes and then you go into boogie on at the tail end of a second set, I'm going to be like, nuts. But it really kind of worked in that instance, I thought. But I guess we'll get into some of the our favorite sets. I'm just looking at set one of night one and just like I was not feeling the vibes when this run started.
No, I mean, Chalk Dust saved that set a little
Well,
bit.
I
And
have to say, before we go into sets, I just want to mention Chalk Dust is one of my favorite jams of this run.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's so cool.
Straight hose.
They're playing with like a super different rhythm. Like they're playing with rhythm, but like differently than they usually do. And Mike has that effect on. It's like really bouncy, and the way that they right and the way that the jam built out was more interesting and like less predictable. And I thought it was great. Just one of my favorite. Fishman, amazing. But yeah, so I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be super high on like. At the end of the day, it was 15 minutes. I did really love it, but it is like down a few notches. But yeah, man, that mic tone groove early, and you could just tell like they were trying, they were efforting, and yeah,
like, they were trying. They started trying during the Chalk Dust. They weren't really before that in the set. Fling Your Head was not destined for jam vehicle status right away, you know.
Oh God. Okay, so let's get into some sets then. Let's hear your favorite set one. Ryan, what's your favorite set one?
Night 4. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, not just because of my friend, but you've also got Night 4 with, you know, asterisks. Yes, Drift While You're Sleeping, close the set. But I think that the rest of the set, you know, opening with the Mike's groove, you know, the Halley's into Weak Pog segue was great. Huge, my friend. And I mean, like, you're getting Vultures, a rare first set 2001, you know, little Pass Me a Taco with Mull. But I think it's a really solid set. You know, I think it's the best first set of the run. I think that there's not, you know, a ton to dig into in these first sets otherwise.
I am going to disagree with you. Night 4 set 1 was my second favorite set one, but Q2 of Mull, Vultures, a totally vanilla 2001, and Adrift while you're sleeping. Like
That's fair.
Yeah. It's like the end of
I
a
like
show.
Vultures.
It's like a bad fourth quarter in
I
the
like
second
Vultures
quarter.
a lot. I don't know what to tell you.
it's all right. It's okay. It's no Yarmouth Road, thankfully. But I thought that actually night two's set one was the best set one. A little bit of flow, but just kind of sneakily jammy throughout. The gumbo, Caspian into
Yeah.
oblivion. Stash is no slouch. Yamar is stock, but like that's the vibe at the beach. Yes, play Yamar. And the McGrupp, which it's not a deep bust out, but it's still special when you hear it. So I just thought kind of the sum was greater than the discrete parts. So night two, set one was
That's
probably my favorite. But I'm not a mole man like Ryan is. So to each his own.
I do like
tacos.
Mull. I feel like, yeah, and I also feel like out of like all of Mike's songs, it's like we got to take what we can get with those. And I think
It's
Mull
the
is
best
probably
one.
the least offensive. Yeah. You must be ghosting me sideways. I mean, so funny. Okay. I would say I think my favorite first set was the last night. I think I agree with Ryan on that just because like I think it has a great flow. It almost feels like a whole show in itself. And opening with Mike's is just always going to be a win for me. But I actually really liked the night 3 set one as well. I thought that just like, you've got Blaze On bouncing like fun. Bouncing like I started listening to Phish in the 90s. Anytime I hear that song, like I'm so happy about it. But the Wolfman's Brother is good, like a good little micro jam. Tube rocks. The jams inside of Tube these days have just been so tight and like instantly in the pocket and super satisfying. And that's the kind of thing I want to hear in the first set, like a really tight, funky, fun little jam that you can just dance really hard to. An acoustic Water in the Sky, a pretty decent gin, excuse me. And I absolutely love ending a set with Most Events Aren't Planned. I think that's kind of fun. So I think I go to bat for that set too, as well.
Well, Megan, we all know that you're going to pick night 4 because you're a size queen, as we are all aware.
It's true. You got to go with the big jams. Anytime you're going to play My Friend Too, which is just one of the old time great Phish songs, opened my first Phish show ever. And I'm so into that song and what they're doing with it these days. So yeah, that one's definitely the choice for me too. But what about set 2? Justin, what's your favorite set 2?
Should we all just say it at the same time?
Yeah, exactly.
3, 2,
night
1.
2?
Thursday.
Night 4. I like night 4.
Okay.
You like it? Okay. All right. Well, okay. Yeah,
all right.
Justin.
Well, I mean, and we have 3 really good set 2s to talk about. I think I'd give the edge to night 2, though. Just that classic tight 4-song set, the A Wave of Hope, Into Ruby Waves. What is that, like 40, 48, 49 minutes of pretty creative original jamming? Can't complain about that. The Lonely Trip landing pad was certainly well deserved. And then I thought a pretty stout What's Going Through Your Mind, like a little extra 15, 16 minutes. So, I was a happy camper, and sometimes less can be a little bit more. And it was kind of nice just to get that compact, like, all right, here it is. Other options, though, were nearly as good to me, but I'll let you guys talk about them or see what you think.
Yeah, you're right. I definitely had that set higher. I don't know why I said 4, but I do like 4 too. But I think that the 4-song second set, you're just never gonna get through that. And this is actually like the most perfect set listing ever. Like Trey, if you're listening, Wave of Hope, Ruby Waves, Lonely Trip, What's Going Through Your Mind. Yes. Just
new songs. Good new songs.
I mean, the oldest song in that set is Ruby Waves. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like that's amazing. Wow. And also Lonely Trip is the perfect post-jam ballad. And anytime you're going to do like a power hour and then not play like the usual stuff for like fourth quarter, like there's no 2001. I mean, they'd already played it, but like they're not going to do the usual stuff there. I love it. I'm also like very happy if you walk off stage without playing a bunch of songs. Like we like that.
And this set is still almost 75 minutes long.
Yeah, it's not short.
This is not like a 62-minute 4-song set. This is the length of a normal set. Yeah. And I mean, I'm usually not one who will complain if they decide to play an extra 2 or 3 songs after doing, perfect set listing like this, but also
Yeah.
it's a really big treat when they do that. And this is the 11th back-to-back 20-minute jams in Phish history.
Really? Only the 11th? That's
11th.
amazing.
Yeah,
Wow,
that does not
that's
include
amazing.
that stat does not include Yem unless the Yem
Yeah.
is longer than 25 minutes.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
And this was the 4th or 5th 4-song set in 4.0.
Not many.
10,
We do
17,
not have
21, 2, 25, 22, 4, 17, 23, 8, 4, 24, 5th.
Wow, that Phish brain, really impressive. I no way I'd be able to do
Thank
that,
you.
even if my
Nope.
life depended on it.
I'll be here all week.
I do want to shout out though that night 4 second set, because like of course we have a big jam, but I do think it's actually like really structured well, because you
flow is
have
great.
the flow is amazing. You have this like huge monster jam and then into Beneath a Sea of Stars, which those two songs, A Song I Heard the Ocean Sing into Beneath a Sea of Stars, to me is perfect. And then, like I said, I really liked the meat stick here. It's not always my favorite song to hear, but it actually really works. And it's nice when you have two moody, really long jams and then you get something kind of fun and light. And then the Golden Age is well played. And then Slave, I mean, jam it or shelve it. You know, I have conflicted feelings about Slave these days. You can hear more about that on our Slave Mount Rushmore episode that Brian and I did, but it's definitely well played, and it always hits at the end of a show. And if you're there to end the last night, it's nice. You know, it's nice. And I think this encore too, Loving Cup, Mary Hood.
Are we including the encore in the consideration?
No,
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 because
no,
it's
no,
only
no, no,
sets.
no, no, no.
It's only sets.
So night
yeah.
3 is a really good second set. And we can pretend that the show ended after First Tube if we want. You know, like it.
Can we just talk about First Tube for a minute? This song is played so much. It's
Have
played
you
like
seen
every
how much Trey loves it?
I know, but it's played like every 3 shows right now or something. I actually looked and I don't know where I wrote it down, and I can't find it in my notes right now, but it is played too much. It's just played too much. Every 3 shows, like it's so predictable, and I get it. It's adorable, and I love when Trey lifts that, you know, I'm happy for him about that. But it's like, okay, here it is. Since it's debuted, it's been played on average every 5 shows. Played 9 times in 2025 out of 47 shows. That's a lot. We don't need that. That's a lot. We can play some other stuff.
I was just looking up my third Phish show was Hershey in 2000 and First Tube opener, which is a great, nice tube.
That's
but
fun.
like that's a great place to play First Tube.
Agreed.
I'm with you,
Agreed.
Megan. Like a late second set First Tube, just so Trey can hold his guitar up. Like I get it.
And then your feed is like filled with people holding that picture up, and you're like, I've seen that.
He wants
like
to run around the stage like an excited little kid. You know,
that's fine. He can do that. He can play other songs and do that. Maybe we should tell him, like, Trey, here's a list of songs that you can run around and dance to and play that would be more interesting and not completely like be so predictable. I just feel like whenever they started, I'm like, yep, here we go. You know, it's just like. Sorry, I'm sounding very salty, but
no, that's great. We like salty, half jaded Megan. It's
what we do. Half.
That's
not half jaded.
It's fully jaded.
Yeah.
I think you could make arguments for like each of these 3-second sets that we're talking about. Like, night 2 is tight. Night 4 does the deep 58 minutes of jamming and then successfully seesaws into Meat Stick, and it's fun and it's well earned, and like no shade about that. I think night 3 that we're talking about it, like it takes some effort, and the effort is palpable. Like they're putting work in the middle of that Carini so it doesn't fall apart, so they can get to that groove payoff at the end. And then the light, you can hear Trey ask for light, and I don't know exactly what he says, but it seems like there's like a little bit of tension almost when he's like asking for his like,
I didn't hear that. That's
light.
Funny.
Yeah,
light. The talk back is like kind of like background audible during the segue.
Really? Oh my god, that's so funny.
The light, and like it's either a nice segue into Frankie Says or like kind of a ripcord into Frankie Says, and then like the 15-minute everything's right is nice and it's solid, but like there was a reason that I had this set just like a little lower. Like you can tell that it is a struggle, not a struggle, but like they are trying up there on the stage, whereas like night 2 second set just felt a bit more effortless to me.
Yeah, I mean, this Everything's Right, I think, is what's holding back the Friday set 2 from being, like, truly great. Like, I think if you
Yeah.
remove that and the set is Carini, Light, Frankie Says, Life Saving Gun, First Tube, amazing. You know, you have
Good set list.
that
I
that
agree.
opening, because that's basically no wasted moments, and then the closer, right? Like, because you have Carini into Light, which is amazing. The segue from Light into Frankie Says is absurd. It is ridiculously good. Like, though, it just so naturally finds its way there.
God, I want Frankie Says so bad. I am chasing that song so bad. I've
You never
never
seen
heard
it?
it. No, I've never seen it. So when I'm at the Sphere second
Noob.
weekend, Trey, just like do that for me. Stop
Can't believe you haven't seen
being
Frankie
mad at me,
Says.
Trey. I know, it's weird.
You weren't at 7:30:23?
I think I don't even know. Was that MSG?
Yeah, that was the third night of the run, the Sunday.
No, because I had to skip 2 of that run, and I skipped that 2 days, and then I saw like how many they play 7. I saw like 5
Yeah.
out of 7. I think, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I missed it. Mhm.
Well, that show ruled. Anyway, but this Everything's Right kind of comes in the middle of set 2, and Everything's Right is weird because the first number of years that it was a song, it had such an incredible batting average, and
Yeah.
it started off 4.0. Like, there are those versions from 2021, like Deer Creek and Dick's, that are just
Totally.
so good.
Yeah.
And Phoenix also in 2021. But the last few years, it's just like Trey's like, this is a set closer now, or this is gonna be 11 minutes, and this is like
I
a
know.
13-minute type 1 Everything's right in the middle of set 2. And so I think
Yeah.
they find the momentum again. Life Saving Gun immediately finds the momentum, and we're immediately off to the races again.
Oh,
With
God,
an incredible,
this song.
just under 20-minute jam. But it just feels like this Everything's Right is like, just doesn't fit in this set.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like Everything's Right and Blaze On are just kind of becoming a little rote these days.
100%.
Yeah, big time. I will say, personal note, this version of Life Saving Gun, I think, finally has converted me into a Life Saving Gun.
All right.
Welcome.
Finally, where have you been, Justin? Hello.
I think I looked up the lyrics and I was like, what is this?
Have you ever read?
Are you a Phish fan? We don't read lyrics,
songs.
Justin. We just go with it.
Right. Yeah. Can you pass me a taco? Yeah, I know.
Miso laceration. It all makes
You must
sense.
be ghosting me sideways. Come on.
Yeah. But I just that maybe it's just the year of 2026 is the year of like the rhythmic kind of original groove based jamming. Life Saving Gun is really gonna get after it, and it just kind of sets itself up perfectly for it. But gosh, so many things about that Life Saving Gun that's kind of like the groove early is kind of like half trippy and just like something's like a little wonky, but in a really good way. And it brightens, but we don't go in an obvious direction. It kind of stays like pensive and curious before we get just that like Trey sizzle. And pardon the Eggy podcast guy for thinking like a feral bear, Ryan, from Ardmore back in 2024 in the spring, Backyard Bear, but just like an evil Trey march. Like, that's not necessarily something we hear from Phish all the time. True. So it was cool. Oh yeah, I'm in until like the next 13-minute version of Life Saving Gun that doesn't do much. I'm on board for now.
I love that. Honestly, this version rules. Like, Trey is playing like an absolute rock star beast. It's so great. It's just, this song always sounds hungry to me. I love it. I'm on board. The only thing I want to do before we go is I want to talk about our favorite show of the run.
Why don't you go first?
Well, yeah, and Megan, you go first. But I will say that I am upping my nerdery level this year.
Is that possible?
Yes, just barely. Yes, and I am now, because I will like score jams usually between a 1 and a 6. Like the Ruby Waves for me was a 5. We haven't had a 6 yet. But I am now keeping track of the total jam points per show in the Phish world.
This is
but also in the Eggy world. But flow is still a big deal, and like you may have a bunch of big jams, but
assign flow points?
they'll be I don't assign flow points. That's a little more ethereal. But Megan, as you tell us about your favorite show, just know that I've got some statistics over here
Yes.
behind the curtain.
Hard math.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I kind of want to hear it first
Well,
because
arithmetic.
I am a little torn because I don't think I think that there's the first sets and the second sets aren't really matched up in these shows. Like the stronger first sets seem to be in the shows that have not as strong second sets. So it's a little bit hard for me to decide. But if I had to pick one show that I would have been really sad to miss, it probably would have been the 29th, just because of the second set. But I don't know because I'm not super into the first set.
And that's night 2, correct? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's no. Yes, night 2. Sorry.
Yeah, that is night 2.
Okay.
Night 2. I think that or night 4. I think it's 2 or 4 for me. And it's a little bit split because I do like set 1 from night 4 better. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Before we throw it over to our resident mathematician,
Yeah.
I'm also night 2 with night 4 closely behind.
Okay.
Those are definitely the 2 most well-rounded shows. Kind of
I agree.
less of a gap between the first and second set because all of these, every single one of these second sets has at least 2 big jams.
Yeah.
The night 3 and night 4 second sets have 2 of the big jams are a shade under 20 minutes. But still, I would call the Life Saving Gun and Beneath the Sea of Stars big jams. So the second sets are at least on even footing in that regard, and then you can kind of go on to which are the better jams, which has better flow and etc. But yeah, I think it's night 2 with night 4 very closely on its tail.
All right. Well, I love that we have independently come to the same conclusion. I'm with
Hey.
you. Night 2 edges out night 4. Night 2, for those curious, had 14 total jam points. Night 4 had 13 total jam points.
Ooh, close.
So similar amount of improvisation. I think, and I picked it as my favorite set 1. The fact that night 2 kind of had that sneaky, sort of jammy set 1. And then had that almost 50 minutes of A Wave of Hope, Ruby Waves with that tight, lonely trip. What's going through your mind finish. Night 4, we've already talked about the big first quarter. That if you play Mike's groove, that's cool, but it's not just automatically going to win me over. I actually like this Mike's groove. I thought the Mike's was
good.
Kind of interesting.
Mike's is good. Mike's has been good lately.
Was good. The Halley, sorry, Ryan. And then the Weekapog had a little bit of mustard on it. It's like that Q2 where things kind of take a little bit of a dip, but no one is complaining about nearly 60 minutes of a song I heard the ocean singing Beneath the Sea of Stars. And then, like we've said, the fun fourth quarter, it's well deserved. I did think I had night 3 with 11 jam points, and then I had night 1 with 9 jam points, with the note that everyone's got to warm up, even Phish. That set 1 from night 1 when they went into Breath and Burning, I was just like, ugh.
I started laughing
at that Rogue.
And it's like MoMA set, I want to say to Trey, I love the MoMA dance. My stupid tag is the Megan dance, but we don't need to play it in slot 2 all the time. You just play it somewhere else.
It's a good bit at this point, though. And it's like,
it's a
people are like,
bit.
do you think Trey knows? Or does he just know. Impulsively call for it in the 2 slot every single time?
He's like, I don't know, what should we play? Hey, MoMA dance. And then just plays it.
All right, yeah, it's all right, we played one song. How should we get the ball rolling here on this show?
I know, it's so weird. And then, I don't know, Rogue is just and then Sand, I don't know, Breath and Burning.
I know you guys don't like Roger. I like Roger.
It's pronounced Rogue, just so you know. That's how the band pronounces it.
I swear somebody important.
It was in the Doniak Spice, just so you know.
Okay.
It's
Rogue. I called it Rogue for a decade, and then somebody told me it was Roger. Well,
there was a thing in the Doniak Spice. Yeah, we'll show you. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think there's
I'm not old enough to have ever gotten the Doniak Spice.
Yeah, agree. Understand. There's Sand and Sigma Oasis in there. They were trying, but yeah. And the Chalk Dust is great. So I don't know. I feel like they found some good moments in that set regardless. But I mean, overall, really strong run. I think it's a little frustrating that it was stronger than MSG for me personally. It's fine.
Yeah, I've accepted that at this point.
I mean, I've accepted it, but I have
The
big
best jams are
expectations.
behind a paywall.
That's right. That's right. It's fine. I only have to go to Las Vegas and spend a small fortune to see really good jams, but I better. Otherwise, I don't know. Trey and I really gonna fight. But hopefully, I would love it if you two wanted to get together with me again and talk about the Sphere shows.
Unfortunately for you, Megan, that wasn't optional. And Justin, really.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
we were doing this. We were
Okay,
already
good.
doing it. Whether you wanted to or not, I knew that I had at least 2.5 months to bully you into doing it.
That's true. That's true. We have some
so,
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well,
But
I would
yes.
love that. And yeah,
Me
that'd be
too.
really fun. Okay, great. Well, this has been a lot of fun. And thanks everybody for listening and joining us for We Keep It Rolling. And we're just going to keep it rolling and look forward to the Sphere. Can't wait.
You've got good puns today.
Do I? Okay, good. Thanks.
You've had a couple.
Thanks,
everyone.
Ryan. Yeah, thanks everyone. And we'll see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.